Well, hello, that's me again. Today is April 14th. It is Friday, so there's something for the weekend, so to speak. And I want to point out immediately that events develop with such speed. I never encountered anything in my life, and I'm 60 years old, and it's just absolutely mind-boggling and breathtaking in terms of how much happens literally within 24-hour news cycle, if you wish. And under different circumstances, I probably would be making like several videos a day, but you can literally pick up anything nowadays of any significance from the even news cycle, open sources of course, and you still will not be able to cover even the absolutely minimal number of the events which are unfolding as we speak right now. So, but let me start with the thing which I wanted to talk about for a long time. And this is a bipolar disorder. No, I'm not going to be laughing at people who are absolutely afflicted by this horrible situation, horrible illness, which is, and bipolar disorder, you can look up the medical definition of it, but it's kind of like your deviation between the very emotional highs and lows, that people can be almost ecstatic and then they just gonna be depressed within a whatever minute or 2 minutes. And this is horrible situation. I know it's they find some treatments today for that, but it was horrible obviously before in the invention of the some kind of the medications. I don't know. So but this is the real mental issue, and this many people are afflicted by it, especially in our life, which is very informationally saturated, and many people simply do not have enough filters, so to speak, not to react properly on that. And when you look at the bipolarity of the combined West, we can also use the other term which we can call psychosis. And let's talk about psychosis. If you noticed, I prefer to use in my videos references to the English language sources primarily, and primarily Western. I do use RT obviously because it also reports news, and it is in English and it's easily readable by the majority of my audience. But truth is, I prefer to use the Native Americans, for example, not in terms of like Native Americans, but original American media, because it just shows you that basically everything is out there. You just need to know where to look, and you will have the pretty good clear picture of the what is happening in the world. And let's start with this. I love oilprice.com. The reason I love them because they are classic representation of this bipolarity, from going at an incredible emotional highs, for example, like, oh, Russia is about to collapse, to immediately going to those emotional lows that, oh no, Putin is winning and things of this nature. I mean, they print all kinds of garbage from all kinds of the, well, basically front organizations, which are primarily for propaganda, created for propaganda purposes by the US government, be that CIA, be that what have you. And here it is. And you already know that you can read, if you go to any kind of news rotation, so to speak, you will immediately find that, oh yeah, Russians are about to collapse because, yeah, the only thing they sell is oil and gas. And as late Mr. McCain stated, it's just basically gas station masquerading as a country. Well, Russia certainly sells a lot of oil and a lot of gas, but they constitute about 10% of the budget, actually, 10 to 15. So, and when people think that it's that's what creates Russian budget, I mean, they really have to check their data. And here it is. They've been so glad to report that, there is a situation with Russian oil and, things of this nature. Then, bang, yesterday, actually today, they suddenly have to admit, yeah, Russia's oil revenues rebound as exports surge to 3-year high. And here it is. Russian crude and product exports increased in March by 600,000 barrels per day. BPD's reaching 8.1 million BPDs and the highest oil export levels from Russia in 3 years. The IEA said, International Energy Agency said in its closely watched oil market report today. What can I say again? Mr. Novak, and he was at that time the energy minister of Russia. Now he's one of the deputy ministers in Russian government, and he warned about it. I mean, yeah, you can basically put on any kind of the price caps. It's not gonna help because basically Russia is supplying right now not 15% of the Western world, but more like 85% of the non-Western world, and this is the majority of population, and it is now majority of the economy in the world. And obviously Russia will sell oil, and this price cap is crap, pardon my French, and you've been warned, and when you look at what Russian state and do for the last few years, basically what it comes down to, whatever Putin says or whatever Kremlin says, it happens. They don't lie. They just say, yeah, we're going to do this, and they do it. And I don't know, they still didn't get this pattern in the State Department or in the White House, but this is how it works. So Russia says this and does exactly what she said. And if you go over this whole situation with not just oil revenues, you begin to notice things of this nature. Look at that. Everybody discusses it, but you can find it actually not only on RT, you can find it everywhere in the news. And EU will return frozen Russian reserves. The Welt reports, and the German media outlet, citing an internal document, claims that bloc officials know they can't keep the money or divert it to Ukraine. The European Commission has concluded that it will almost certainly have to eventually hand back frozen Russian central bank reserves, Die Welt reported on Thursday. I can, again, Carole King comes to, to mind with "It's too late, baby, it's too late now," and I wrote about it in my blog, but I have to reiterate, it's too late. It has been done. Russia was cheated. The things were frozen and stolen. And Victoria Nuland yesterday, in typical Nuland, which is a headless fashion, says that no, we still have to kind of, expropriate those things, those reserves, and give it to Ukraine. But again, they are neocons, they are morons, they don't understand international relations, they basically have no real applicable skills in anything, and but Europeans are beginning to feel the heat. But as I already stated, it is too late for them. The conclusions have been made in Kremlin, and there will be no relations, no going back to what it was before, unless, of course, Europe miraculously removes what it amounts to the abuse of the European civilization on people who actually kill it. But I don't think so it's going to happen, but it is what it is. And if you begin to look at this news cycle, apart from the oil revenues and apart from the fact that they now talk about, they need to return those frozen reserves, and Russian reserves actually, which are in Russia now, top $600 billion, and this is what Russians officially report. Whatever is unofficially, we don't even know. A lot, let me put it this way. But people don't understand that Russia actually, it's not exactly what is being portrayed in Western media for the last, 100 years. And that, for example, if you look at what Russia produces and what it sells, apart from already I told you about this major contract for the Transmash holding with India with $1.7 billion, with for 200 trains, to all those kind of high-end technological production, just to show you, it's what you see here. It's a Skoltech, it's a Skolkovo company. They started the production of their first Russian-made, completely designed, and Russian element base and everything, base 5G stations, and Russians make them, so it's their own thing. And when you begin to look at it, my gosh, this gas station is so, how to put it politely, so high tech, and the reason I'm saying this is because It's absolutely crucial to keep this in mind. It's the framework. These are the things which have to guide you whenever you make any kind of conclusions. But evidently, what leaks basically by the Pentagon, of the Pentagon documents, and now we have some kind of the scapegoat being arrested. This is increasingly becomes clear that they never had a clue about Russia. Never. And that's, I am sitting and smiling here and feel myself, if you will see the smug smile on my face, you can tell me. But the point is, I warned about it. I warned about it for the years and years and years that, guys, you don't know what you're getting yourselves into. This is how it works. And then now we have this situation that no less than Defense Intelligence Agency, which also exposed its complete inadequacy in from those leaks, and they talk about that stalemate will force Ukraine to enact full mobilization. Yeah, they already are in full mobilization, and they will talk about that the situation will make leadership changes more likely in Kyiv. U.S. military planners reportedly believe. Yes, let me put it this way, you can quote me on that. They cannot plan anything. They are incompetent. And there you go. The U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency views both Kyiv and Moscow as having insufficient troops and supplies for effective operations. And they talk about that Ukraine will drag on into 2024 with both sides achieving only marginal territorial gains this year. And here is the most important thing. I am on the record. Again, you can quote me on this. I'm writing the 4th book on that. I wrote 3 precisely on that. America cannot do strategy. I mean, there are no strategies. What is being sold to the public and in all those stupid semi-professional magazines and media outlets is absolute garbage. It has nothing to do with the grand strategy. They don't understand what strategic planning, strategic intelligence is. And when you begin to look at those leaks, you're just terrified to the level of their ignorance. And that's the key point in the DIA part of the leaks, because Russia is not pursuing just actually territorial gains. Far from it. They don't understand that for 8 years Russia was trying to avoid doing anything territorial in terms of territorial gains, except for the inevitable situation with the purely LDNR and Crimea, obvious. Other than that, Russia said, hey, you can have the Ukraine, but as long as there are those conditions. Yet, you have those people in Pentagon and DIA still believing that Russians are into it for the territorial gain. No! They don't understand how war works. They don't understand what the war is about. Because evidently they never studied even basic clauses, which is, of course, the main object of the war is to compel the enemy to do our will and to achieve the political aims of the war. This is how the victory in the war is defined. And Russians in it to completely demilitarize and denazify Ukraine and those people who help them. And that means physical annihilation of the military and mobilizational potential of Ukraine. And you can do it without necessary, as they think, territorial gains. But you cannot explain those to those people, because they still think that Russia sells only oil and gas, and they completely forget that, of course, if not for the Soyuz vehicles, for the last very many years, the United States won't be even on the International Space Station. And how can you explain it to them? And that is why when I say that those people do not know what they are doing, I mean it. And yesterday, while speaking to Judge Napolitano, Colonel McGregor, he made an interesting admission. For example, I knew from my contacts and through talking to people and reading the media that, yeah, Russians were actually never planned to start with as Mr. Rudskoy at the start of the operation. He explained it. It was last year, somewhere in the late February, early March, when Rudskoy, chief of the general, who is in charge of the main planning operational directorate of the general staff, he was explaining that no, it's a long haul. We know that we have to do this and that, but Colonel Macgregor, using his sources yesterday, he stated that Russian framework, time framework, so to speak, or time frame, if you wish, for the special military operation was around 30 months. 30 months, my friends. And this is what? 2.5 years. But both Macgregor and now everybody, especially after these leaks have been exposed, a complete, well, catastrophe, and obviously war crime by the West and NATO, headed by the United States, by throwing a generation of the, well, actually probably a couple generations of the Ukrainian men into the meat grinder. So, we're looking at 2.5 years, but probably gonna end up much early in terms of the really active hostilities. And yeah, the fact that those guys even thought that they can create the second Afghanistan shows you how militarily incompetent they are and how they don't understand even military history. Forget about real serious operational planning, which requires a very serious calculation, a computer power and mathematical thinking, and but you know what, it's you just look at it and it just, oh my god, I cannot believe I wanted to believe that what I was talking about for many years is not true, at least that I'm exaggerating something. Oh my gosh, my forecasts and my descriptions were timid compared to what we are uncovering right now. And when you look at the media cycle, now we have this situation with Russians reported yesterday that, yeah, they first Leopard tank was already basically taken out. One of the Russian diversionary groups actually found out, captured one of these tanks, because obviously they could not transport it back to the rear of Russian lines, so they just basically sunk it into the swamp. This thing will be eventually taken out of the swamp and will be paraded, and this is just the first one of them, and believe me, there will be many more blown, burned, destroyed, captured, things of this nature of those Leopard tanks. But when we talk about the bipolarity of things, and especially again, as I stated, oilprice.com is just only one of those sources which I would like to present here. It's pretty much all over the place in the Western media today. But look at this. After the situation with the Russian oil, and and obviously beginning to accept the fact, the classic conclusion of the Kubler-Ross model that, yeah, Russia will continue to sell oil and for the price which is not price capped. Look what they suddenly do. They go and put up this breaking news by no less than propaganda outlet of Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, and look at this. They say that, oh my god, Ukraine wants to turn Black Sea into the Sea of NATO. And so obviously it was yesterday, and Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, he stated that it was time to turn the Black Sea into a Sea of NATO. Kuleba called on European countries to address the common Russia problem together, including by integrating Ukraine's air and missile defenses with those of NATO members. The foreign minister also urged NATO to accept his country and Georgia, also a Black Sea littoral state, as members. He said that the upcoming NATO summit in Vilnius should present a clear plan on when and how Ukraine will enter. It's an old story, yes. You know what? I cannot emphasize enough how stupid it all is, and why some absolute delirium by Minister of the Foreign Affairs of Ukraine is actually merits the breaking news when the guy, it's a wet dream basically about NATO internal lake, so to speak, of the Black Sea. But I wanted to point out something about the Black Sea Fleet. And I'm talking about Russian Black Sea Fleet and what it is and why these are absolute wet dreams and basically insanity which Mr. Kuleba tries to sell to those, well, stupefied pretty much now Western allies, so to speak. And let's start with the simple things. If you look at the complement, so to speak, or the table of organization and equipment of the Black Sea Fleet, just purely in the hardware, I will be showing something which is for this rather not very large theater, because Black Sea itself, certainly large sea, it's not as large as Mediterranean, for example, and it is kind of limited theater of operations, and why the Crimea, once Crimea returned back home to Russia, became a crucial strategic asset for Russia, which controls not only the Black Sea, it controls also the Eastern Mediterranean. And here it is. If you look at the Black Sea Fleet as it exists today, Russian Black Sea Fleet, you can notice that it has 7 submarines of this class, Project 636, and one of the Project 877 Alrosa, and those are all Caliber missile carrying submarines. Each of them can shoot 6 Caliber class missiles. They could be those LAMs, LAMs, land attack missiles with a range of 2,600 kilometers, or they can shoot 3 M54 missiles, anti-shipping missiles, which have the range of up to 600 kilometers, and they're subsonic on the most of the route, so to speak, or route, and they accelerate to Mach 3 at the terminal, which is usually about 40-50 kilometers from the target. So these are extremely deadly missiles, and this is what those submarines carry. Now we have go, and I will showing you just more or less newer things. I omit here other things like minesweepers, and some of them are actually brand new. But let's go take a look. You have the good old Project 1124 anti-submarine warfare corvettes. These are the old ones, but good 1124 Grishas. They are still there. 3 of them are operating in one of the brigades. And then we have to look at things like this. You have good old Tarantul class, which carry, usually they now carry Moskits. These are supersonic anti-shipping missiles with a range of 270 kilometers, and they carry 4 of them, those little boats which can actually sink, oh my gosh, with Mosquito can sink just about anything. Then you go and look at this. You have this Bora class, it's two of them. They also carry Moskits, but they carry actually 8 of them. And those are the what is called air cushion vehicles. They are double hulled, and those are really dangerous things. And as I already stated, Moskit has a range of 270 kilometers. It can, when launched in salvo, yeah, I don't think so there's any air defense in the world which can basically shoot or repel the salvo of such missiles, but Russia has 2 of them. Then we continue to go with the complement, so to speak, and we get to more serious things, such as 5 of those, 5 Karakurt Project 22-800 carriers of the same caliber missiles, and in the future there is a light version of Zircon, literally smaller version of Zircon, which is coming, and they will be carrying this too. So then, of course, we have other things like patrol ships, which is, of course, Project 22160. This Black Sea Fleet has 4 of them. The 2 more of those coming, and those are not only good patrol ships, they can carry fairly soon their container missiles, and that could be anything Onyx or 3M54, 3M14 caliber class. And then, of course, we have more of this. It's another Buyan class, Project 21631. Those are also carrying those old missiles, and they will be carrying also Zircon Light. And Russia has now 4 of them there. But then, of course, if you look attentively at this interesting photo, it for some people it might not say much, but this is the Grasviyazhsk, and this is the ship of not the Black Sea Fleet. It's the ship of the Russian Caspian Flotilla, and Russian Caspian Flotilla has 3 of them, and those ships can travel between Caspian and Black Sea if need be, not to mention the fact that all those ships took part in blowing the ISIS to smithereens by launching salvos from the Caspian Sea in 2015, 16, 17, and so, as you can see yourself, the Black Sea Fleet, Russian Black Sea Fleet, can add to its ships by means of moving some assets from the Caspian Flotilla. Then, of course, you have those Grigorovich class Project 11356 frigates. They are also carriers of the Kalibr missiles, but they can carry also Onyx and Zircons. And as you understand, Russia has 3 of them. Then, of course, Russia has one of the corvettes of the Mercury class, Project 2380, and this is one already in the trials and should be in Sevastopol fairly soon. Another one is coming. So 2 of them are coming too. Those are Uran X or KH-35 anti-shipping missile carrying corvettes. They have excellent air defense, Redoute. So, and when you look at this, okay, here is the, ship's complement, which Russian Black Sea Fleet already has now. And when you begin to really count the salvo of the missiles, it probably can launch, I don't know, just count yourself. I can tell you just 3 frigates of Project 11356, they can launch 24 missiles, and actually 16, so 48 in the first salvo. So good luck of turning this thing, the Black Sea, into the NATO lake. But then, of course, we have the other forces which are based precisely in Crimea, be them the coast-based Bastion anti-shipping missile complexes, which carry the Onyx supersonic missile, and we don't know really the whole number, but let me put it this way. Crimea is one of the most heavily defended pieces of land in the world. We are talking about the variety of these air defense complexes, ranging from S-400 to S-300 V4 to Buk to what have you. And of course we have the you have about 24 Su-27 SMs. This is a very upgraded version of Su-27, the new data links, the glass cockpit, all shebang. Then you have these things, which are, of course, Su-30s, which they have now more than 12, 14 I believe, more are coming. So you have about 2 regiments of the advanced fighters, and there should be some Su-57s once the intensity of the special military operation and hostilities in Ukraine are reduced somewhat, and Russia obviously ramps up the production of Su-57s. And when you, of course, there will also have to keep in mind that there are other attached forces which are either near or will be moved towards Crimea or along the shores of the Russian Caucasus shores of the Black Sea. So when you look at this, and you look at this MiG-31 case with the Kinzhals and things of this nature, so yeah, Kuleba can wet dream whatever he wants, as well as the Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty can dream whatever they want and declare any kind of the breaking news. But there is no way anything could be done about the Black Sea. And people who had brains in Pentagon, they understood that once the Crimea was back into Russian hands, so to speak, where it belonged historically, it's over. You cannot do anything there. You cannot turn it into any kind of the NATO lake, or to make a NATO fleets doing what they want to do. They can't. They will be sunk, and they will be sunk really fast. And I want to stress again, which I also kind of did it in the last video, and for people who constantly ask about what happened to the missile cruiser Moskva, I can tell you now, based on what I know and what is becoming kind of clear, that no, these were not missiles. Something happened on board the ship, and we will not know what happened there until much later, when Russian Defense Ministry will decide to inform us. But there are all reasons to believe that it could have been the sabotage. So, and the fire started indeed in the in one of the storages for the ammunition, and that's what actually brought the ship, sunk the ship. So this is what I wanted to tell you today, and as always, guys, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel and support me on the Patreon or buy me a coffee or two. And what can I say? Have a nice weekend, guys, and I'll be talking to you later. Bye-bye.